we have just enough wood. It was meant to be. One of the, when I was, the knob or the finial on the top of the lid, whatever you want to call it, I used to try to pull them up, make long skinny ones. Well, it doesn't work out that well for low fire technique because the long skinny necks on the knobs or finials break easily. So I've started getting a little bit thicker. This is actually hollow. I actually pulled and made a little orb shape and left a little hole in the top right there. This piece here, you notice the neck is not too very thin right there. Low fire technique, weaker clay than high fire. High fire you can get away with a lot thinner pieces than you can in this low fire technique. But anyway, I was trying to pull the knob up and they would wobble all over the place. What you do is you pop the knob up like this. You make it, I'm pushing downwards and pop it up and it stays centered better. And I'll go ahead and now if you're going to, I'll do another one upside down. I'll do this like a teacup lid, teapot lid. Okay, now I'm going to jump it up a little bit. So last thing I do is get my fingers wet, reach in here and squeeze and bring it up just a little bit, but that's the last thing you do. And you can get it pretty much off the wheel without leaving too much clay by wetting this down really wet so it won't stick to it, and just slide it in underneath. Let's see if I can do this. And it'll come off in your hand. I used to make the lids really thin. I'm trending toward a little bit thicker lids. They're sturdier. They don't chip as easy. Okay, this one's going to be upside down, and what I would do is then put it in the pot, have the pot right side up in a chuck, and then I would trim the knob to fit. So I will finish the upside down lid and then get it to come up off the wheel head a little bit, but what I do is the last thing I do is I trim the knob to match. The top of the knob gets trimmed. Now, this is going to be a flange that's going to be upside down, sticking up in the air. And you notice by pressing down there, I've already started that flange spot. So as I pull outwards, I split this with my fingers, and I open up, and I still keep the clay that's going to make that flange. So I've split it in between my fingers, so I'm defining the edge of the rim a little bit. And now I can squeeze that and define the rim a little bit more. But I didn't have to make clay in here somehow for that flange. I've got tons of clay for the flange. And then you just pull this straight up, like that. And then what I will do is I will take maybe a old plastic credit card or one of these wooden ribs that has a fairly square edge to it, and I define it just like that. make sure that the rim is not sharp here. Get the last touch up to this. Now, I'm pretty much done with the lid, but now I have to set the knob up for the future. And this is going to be hard for me to do, it's getting pretty close. But as I squeeze in underneath, it pops the lid up in the air. Another thing it does, the inside of the lid was perfectly flat. As I squeeze, it becomes dome shape because I'm squeezing and it's lifting, and the inside of the lid domes up. And I don't want to squeeze too close to the lid or I will pinch it off. But see, I'm setting up the clay that can be trimmed for that knob later on. Let me slow this down. This is not an exact science for me yet. I've been working on this here recently. But what I would do then is leave this alone here. You can either wrap up the knob of the lid and leave it throwable wet as this gets to be drier, and then you can flip it over upright and then pull it to what you want, or you can trim it to what you want.
Thank you.
Any other questions on, stupid pottery tricks? Oh, let me crank one out, another. This is fun to do.